Welcome to the first episode of Catch 2022. And that's kind of a pun on Catch 22. And what I will be doing is doing these short snippets now that I'm going back to the Recovery Center sharing the principles. Every week I catch something that makes me go, ooh, I should share this with the group, or a learning that I got from sharing the principles, or ways that I communicate the principles so others like you can get a glimpse of like, oh, I could use this when I'm sharing, or whatever may spark an insight for you. So, welcome to the first episode of Catch 2022. The first thing that I've realized now that I'm back at the Recovery Center is number one, people are very eager in this group to learn. I have a lot. Some groups that I have, they have their arms crossed and they have absolutely no interest to being in the class. And in other groups, they are really excited. And one of the ways that they share their excitement is by saying, "Oh, so when if, let's say that I say like coming from a quiet space, they'll be like, "Oh, that's like Buddhism. Oh, that's like mindfulness, right?" So one of the things I always do, if you have my program, my principles program, the first thing that's always important is I set up the table, right? Without a doubt, the most important thing when sharing the principles is setting up the table. And one of the things I do when I set up the table, now that I'm seeing that a lot of people are doing the it's like thing, is that I tell people forget about what you think it's already like. Because then you're coming into my group. Now I'm acting like you're in my group, right? This is what it looks like when you're in my group. Once you start with the it's like this and it's like that, it's like Buddhism, it's like mindfulness, you don't have room to see something new. So drop all the it's likes. Just drop them. Forget about them. Forget about, even if it looks just like Buddhism or Christianity or mindfulness, drop it. Forget about it. And start from a clean slate. Because once you have a clean slate, you give yourself the availability to see it from a fresh perspective, not from an it's like perspective. And so what ended up happening in the group is you can see them shift. You can see they're like it takes a while because we're all used to going back to our memories, going back to our intellect to compare it to, because that's what we're accustomed to, right? Anything that we do, it's like, right? It's like this, it's like that. We do that. I was almost going to do that myself right now because it's like this. It's normal and it's not a bad thing to do. But in this space that we share the principles, it becomes a disadvantage. So you want people to come in literally empty-minded. And even if they don't come in empty-minded, even after you say that to them and they continue to do the it's like, they start to see something about themselves. That they're always comparing and contrasting constantly, right? They start to see how much they're in their heads. And even that alone, just setting up the table, whether they do it or not, or whether they're conscious of it, they start to go, oh, wow, I do this a lot. And it gives them an opportunity to practice coming in empty. Even if they don't, that awareness becomes more prevalent, right? That awareness becomes more prevalent and they start to ease into coming into whether it's going to go see their parents. And normally it's like the shittiest thing to do to go see my parents. And they start to go, oh, wait, what if I go to my parents' house today with a clean slate? And parenting, well, that's like, and they stop doing that and they see their kids for the first time from a fresh mind. You see your girlfriend or your husband or your wife from a clean slate. I wonder what that would do to people, right? So that alone is an interesting thing because I when you set up the table in that fashion, you're actually already embedding the principles in your teaching. And I didn't even know that I was doing it. I'm actually thinking about it out loud while I'm sharing this with you guys, but now you're actually embedding it and seeing how much of our headspace is involved in so much of our activities. So when you're sharing in a group, when you're teaching the principles, when you're not teaching the principles, and you just want to have a clean slate to start with, when you're talking to a friend, and again, I'm realizing for myself now that I'm trying to really simplify the principles to the point where the principles have no name either, right? And it's less and less about that, and it's more and more about just everyday conversation that I'm having like this, and you start to see it just by that little "it's like" exercise. You start to see the principles at work and the fruits of its being, you can say. So that's Catch 22 episode 1. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more of these little tidbits. Thank you so much. I will put a link to it's my old program. I will put a link for those that have no idea what I'm talking about setting up the table. Feel free to take a look at it. You don't have to get it. If you want to get it, fine. But that's where I go into depth about setting up the table. With that being said, much love to everybody. Thanks for joining, and I will speak to everybody soon.